Hello my stamping friends, Susan here with Pumpkin Hill Stampers. I have a Stampin' Show and Tell to share with you today. Today I'm going to be using the masks that are in the spring catalog. This is the Butterflies and Flowers Layering Decorative Masks. And why do we say they're layering? Well, these three you can see are more like background masks, so those could just be used separately. But these are meant to be layered. So you can see there's two butterflies, right? So there's a full body and then there's the detail. And then there's these flower duets that can be overlapped. And then you have all these other flowers where you've got the detail for the inside and then you've got the full body plus the leaves. So I have two ideas I want to share with you today where we're going to use ink, and I'm going to use my sponges. We don't sell the sponges anymore, but we do sell the sponge daubers, or there's our new lovely brushes that you can use. So I'm going to use my good old sponges. If you've been stamping as long as I have, you have some of these sponges too. But if not, you can order some of these daubers. Same idea, actually, you have a little more control. Or you can buy our new blending brushes. So whatever suits your style of stamping, okay? Alright, so let me go ahead and get started. I'm also going to use the Happiest of Birthdays stamp set because I wanted a nice, simple stamp set to use for my expressions. Because I really want the background to be the key point of the card. Okay, so first what I'm going to do is with these two purples, Highland Heather and Gorgeous Grape, but I'm going to do the masking piece first. Okay, so I have got an orange, a pink, and a purple combination dual tone here on my workspace, and I'll tell you what they are as I go through. So the first thing I do is I'm going to do the full bodies of the butterfly, and I want to have active edges, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull my die over a little bit. Now if you're super picky about only getting your die where you have placed it, I suggest you use some Post-its and just mask over the part that you don't want to get ink on. Let's see if I can do that. There we go, right between those little antennae. Alright, so I'm going to start with Pale Papaya. I'm just daubing it in my ink here, and then I'm going to hold this down, and I'm just going to lightly sponge. Now I kind of found that if I go from the edges in, I have better luck because these are really fine cut little details here, and I don't want to bend them. So if I go from the edges in, I found I had a little more control of not pulling up those mask edges. Okay, so I'm just adding a base layer there. Okay, now I'm going to switch to the detailed die. So all I do, pull my little Post-its off, and I'm going to move this up and put it over what I just sponged. Okay, and I can see through my die that I've got it positioned where I want it. So let's just see. Now I'm going to use my second orange. Now I'm going to use Pumpkin Pie. So I went with the lighter for the body, and then I'm going with a darker for the detail. And this time I'm just kind of go up and down, right? Because I just want to get the detail sponged through my mask. There we go. Okay, so let's see what that does. The big reveal. And see? I've got my butterfly there. It looks like I missed some of the detail over here, but it's not a big deal. I'm not going to worry about it. Alright, so now I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to put another butterfly tucked in down here. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put one Post-it up here. And I'm off my cardstock down here, so it doesn't really matter, but that'll kind of help me just have a place to hold it. Alright, so down here I'm going to use a second color. This time I'm going to use Blushing Bride, and then I'm going to use Polished Pink. So again, I'm doing the full body first. So I just get my ink off of my sponge pad, and I'm just rubbing my ink onto the cardstock underneath. Now I'm using basic white for this sample today, but shimmer white would be very nice because then you'd have the added sparkliness to it. You know, that shimmer sheen that you get from the shimmer white. So whichever cardstock you like more, use it so that you're happy. Alright, so there's my lighter pink, and then I'm going to come in with a polished pink. And again, I have to move my mask up to the butterfly. So this time I'm just going to kind of put the body under the antenna and the wing in the wing. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put this down up here. So now I'm just going to grab my polished pink, and again I'm going through the mask. So this is a technique you can use if you want to make your own pattern paper, right? If you want to have your own colors, whatever it is project you're working on. If you have somebody who loves purple, or if you have somebody who loves pink, you can customize the color of your paper. Okay, so the last one I'm going to use is purple. So I'm going to use Highland Heather, and I'm going to bring, let's see, I'm going to bring my butterfly back this way, put him right there. I'll mask off down here. Just going to mask off up here just to kind of help me hold it down. So this one is very active. You can see I'm not going to have really very much of the butterfly here, but I am filling in the background. Oh no, it shifted. Didn't do very good holding it down, did I? There. So, come on. If you really have a problem with it shifting, just put a little adhesive under it and it'll hold it down. Alright, so there's my lighter Highland Heather, and now I'm going to come in with Gorgeous Grape. I like Highland Heather and Gorgeous Grape together, so how to use those two. So now I'm going to put my detailed mask over the top, line up that center body, and add my second color. So this is kind of like two-step stamping, where you've got a full image and then a detailed image, only instead of stamps, it's masks. So that's kind of a twist on our whole two-step creativity. Okay, so there are my butterflies. Okay. Wasn't that hard, was it? It was pretty cool. Alright, so now I'm just going to do some really simple layering. So again, I've got my two purples that I really like to use together. So I'm just going to put this layer down on the lighter, the Highland Heather, right in the center. I'm going to go ahead and pop that one up on dimensionals. Then I decided for my sentiment on this one, I would use a layer of vellum. So I have my really beautiful background, but it's a background. It's not the primary focal point, right? But if I want it to come through, I want to see it. So I have die cut from my Ornate Layers die a piece of vellum, and I'm going to stamp on that with my Gorgeous Grape, which is the base color of my card. I'm just inking up my stamp. And I'm going to do my best to get it centered. You could stamp and then die cut, but I often die cut and then stamp. So I'm just going to put that down. Now remember, be careful with your vellum. Definitely don't want to twist it or lift it off and have it touch. So hold on the edge and pull it up. Now your vellum's going to take a little time to dry. Okay, so be careful with it. But I'm just going to put that down right over the top. And for that, I'm just going to use my liquid adhesive. I find that if I just put some liquid adhesive behind the words or behind the stamped image, when it dries, you really don't see it. So now I just put that down. Now I can't touch it because it's still wet, remember? So if I bring my bone folder in, I might just be able to tap it a little bit between the words just so that adhesive kind of bonds. And that'll help. Okay, So, little tip there. So there I have, I've got my sponge background, I've got my sentiment on a really pretty die cut, and then I'm going to use some of my pastel pearls, and I'm just going to add 3. So I often do things with odd numbers, so I've got 3 butterflies, I'm using 3 pearls, and there we go. So what do you think? That was pretty cool, huh? Nice, easy stamped background with the masks. So not really stamped, it's sponges and masks. So if you've got a lot of ink, but you don't want a lot of stamps, sponges and masks might be an option for you. Okay, let's do a second one. This one I'm going to do on Pale Papaya, but I'm going to use 3 of the colors that I just used. So move that one aside for a minute. I'm going to use the Pale Papaya, the Blushing Bride, and the Highland Heather. So the 3 lighter colors. And this time I'm going to use the mask that has these little daisy prints on them, and I'm going to create a whole layered background. So like you can see, I have my piece of white underneath, and I'm putting my mask over the top. Okay, and I'm going to put Pale Papaya in one corner because it's going to be my card base color. So I kind of want my corner color of my card and the corner color of my sponging to be the same. That's a me thing. If that's not the way you want it, then you make it your way. It's your card. But I'm going to put Papaya in the corner for that reason. So you can see I'm just sponging through. Now the nice thing about this is you've got these lines of flowers, right? They can go across or they can go on the diagonal. And you've got these polka dots too. So you can use those to help you segment your background as you're working on it. Okay? There's no rule that says you have to go in lines. You could do circles and you could make it all different shapes on your background, but I'm using those as a guide for myself. So now I've switched over and I'm doing the Blushing Bride. I will tell you that my ink pads are on the drier side at the moment, so if you have nice juicy ink pads that are new, or if you've just re-inked them, you may want to blot off your sponge a little bit, dry it out a little bit before you put it down. But if they're dry, as mine are, you don't have to do that. You actually may find that you have to press a little harder to get it to transfer. Okay, there we go. Number 2. Alright, so now I'm going to shift over to my Highland Heather. And I have to change where I'm holding it. So I'm going to see if I can get, yep. Just going to grab one of my Post-its, put that down to hold it. So I don't want to get all that ink on my fingers that's on the template, but I want to be able to hold it down, keep it all lined up. So now I've got my Highland Heather to finish off this top corner. So a lot of times I use 3 colors in my cards, and these just happen to be the 3 colors that I'm playing with today. Okay, so there's my sponged masked background for my card. Okay, and then you can just clean this off. Just bring a tissue or a paper towel in, just kind of wipe it off. You can also run it just under your water and wash it off and just let it be dried. Okay, so there's my background. So that's just going to go right on my Pale Papaya card. And I'm just going to give that a crease. Now, something else I really like to do in my cards is stamp my sentiment into my background. So I'm going to bring in my Pale Papaya for this layer. So this is kind of like a double background. So I've got my colors, right? I've got my daisies. Now I'm going to stamp my sentiment, "It's your day, enjoy it," multiple times in the background. And I'm going to use those lines like I talked about to help guide me a bit. I'm going to start in that corner, and I'm going to ink between each one because I'm using a light color on this multicolored background. And you see how I'm alternating where I'm placing my stamps? I started in the middle and then I kind of split the difference, and then I went back to the middle and split the difference. So as you work down your card, you can just shift. Now some people have trouble with just free stamping in the background, but this is so light it's not going to matter if it's a little bit off. So just enjoy stamping. Alright, so there's my multi-sentiment background as well. Okay, so I'm going to have my cardstock, I'm going to have my background. Now I've also cut a layer of white with an ornate die, and I've got my coordinating pale papaya ribbon. So I'm going to make a double layer of ribbon, and this is what I mean by that. So I've got 2 lengths of ribbon, and I'm going to turn this over and just put a bead of adhesive down like that. And so now I'm just going to wrap and tack my ribbon on the back. If I can decide which side is up, I think that side's up, it looks shinier. So now I'm just wrapping and tacking that around the back. And I'm going to do another one right next to it. So I'm just kind of doubling the width of the ribbon. So if you're not a bow person, this is a way to use ribbon, but not need to tie a bow. It just makes a nice band. Okay, and it gives you some texture and some shimmer on there. Now I am going to go ahead and use dimensionals to put this layer on as well. So bear with me while I get my dimensionals down. Now I use that Stampin' Seal, so it's good and sticky there. Sometimes I do put dimensionals over my ribbon on the back, but I'm not worried about that Stampin' Seal, so I'm just going to run with it. Okay, one more here just so we have nice even coverage. Alright, so this is going to go on my card base, and there is our background. Okay, so from there I need to add my sentiment tag. I'm using the same sentiment, but this time I'm going to pop it up to the pumpkin pie, so just a little contrast in my color. And I'm going to stamp this here on the end. Now one of the reasons I'm stamping it on its end is because this die is really long. If you were making your card in this direction, you could use the whole die. But my sentiment is shorter and my die is too long to go across my card. So I'm going to crop it. Okay, so that's going to go there. I'm going to go ahead and put that on the dimensionals too. And here's one trick I have. So I'm going to put 4 dimensionals here, and then I'm going to put 2 dimensionals right here on the edge of my card, because that's where I want to line up. My tag is over the top of that ribbon. So even though I put that ribbon on, I am covering it up a little bit. So now I'm just going to place this down. I want my edge of my sentiment to be right close to the edge of my card. Put that down, and then I'm just going to open this up, bring my paper snips in, and trim it right along the edge. Okay, there's nothing that says you can't crop your dies. So go ahead and make them the way you want them. Okay, and then from there I have these new Iridescent Rhinestones, and I'm going to add these to my card as well. So I'm just going to put them, I'm going to use, well, usually I use odd numbers, we'll see. I don't want them really lined up. I want them a little skewed. There are 4 different sizes, I think. Looks like maybe there's 3 sizes. I'll put one right here so it kind of pops. Okay, so there we go. 2 samples of using the masks, ink, sponges, some fun embellishments, some die cut sentiments, and just 1 stamp set. So, you know, if you had masks and a sentiment set, you could go to town and make all kinds of fun cards. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed this show and tell. I hope these backgrounds inspired you. And remember, all my details will be on the blog post. Link will be below, and my shopping link is below. So if you want to grab these masks and some fun embellishments, please shop with me. I appreciate that. And I'll see you all again soon. Go ahead and do some fun stamping today. Bye-bye.